Well, mariondoerflinger, yet again. It's like, doesn't he ever go away? Doesn't he ever shut up? Is he going to live forever? Yeah, well, yeah. I'm having more fun being an old man than I ever had being a young man. I really felt good after I talked about storytelling yesterday. And I got a Facebook like from somebody that I love a whole lot. You know who you are, and you know I love you, and thanks. Thank you. Since it made me feel so much better, I thought, why don't you do it when you're in a good mood to begin with? And I am. And if I love to talk about something, it makes me happy to talk about it. And if I record a video and put it on YouTube, you don't have to listen if you don't want to, so I'm not imposing upon you. And if you do want to listen, you can listen. And if that way you don't have to respond to me immediately. Like, yeah, okay, let me shut up for a minute. Yeah, so I talk way too much, and I'm sorry. It's a bad habit. It really is. It's a survival technique when your heart is broken. I move, I talk, I create, and I sleep as much as I have to and no more. A lot of people, when they have a heart broken, there's other ways to deal with it. Some better than mine, some not as good. This is just what I do because I'm a storyteller. So I'm going to talk about motifs. A motif is a literary device, and the definition that I found is a theme, character, or verbal pattern which recurs in literature and folklore. So a motif is not something that works once and is never done again. It's something that works so well that you do it again and again and again. And some work so well that everybody does it. There are some motifs that go back to the dawn of storytelling. There are whole books about motifs. I first heard the word motif in relation to storytelling in a class on ancient literature in reference to Joseph Campbell, the journeying hero. And you can look that up. There is a journeying hero motif pattern. These are the stages of being a journeying hero. My favorite was always, the part where the hero gets the arms or the weapon with which he will face his adversary. Bilbo in the cave, in the darkness, when he falls down and his finger touches something, it is the ring of power. That's where the hero comes upon the weapon. When Gandalf gets the sword, the elfin sword that he carries for the rest of the, that's a common motif. When the hero comes upon whatever weapon he needs, and when the bad guy gets the weapon too, like when Thanos gets the Infinity Stones, that kind of thing. So the motif I will talk about on this one is the lonely hero. And I'm sorry, I've got to have a sip of coffee. If I were getting paid for this, you would probably say, I'm not going to pay you for the time you take and drink coffee, but since it's for free, and since we're friends, it's okay. This doesn't have to be professional because we're all friends here. So, my son, if the day ever comes upon which you no longer wish to be a hero, it may be well for you to become a mystic. When all the enemies are slain and all the damsels in distress are rescued, and your enemies' souls have made peace with your soul, and await for you in the afterlife to meet you as a friend, and the damsels in distress have turned to other lovers and left you alone, because every hero is alone at the end of the day. It may be well for you to become a mystic. For lonely heroes sit in lonely cafes, drinking their coffee, smiling faintly upon the young waitress from a distance when she doesn't notice, wishing that he were young and she would love him. Lonely heroes neither die nor fade away. They just await the next call. I wrote that in 2012 in the middle of a psychotic episode. I hated who I was. I hated the story. I hated everything about it, but something said I didn't have the right to not preserve it. And it's on my WordPress.com blog spot, and I'll put that address down below, and you can look it up, because and it'll give you the extra benefit if you're a psychology major to study the writings of someone during a psychotic episode. That might be beneficial. So I have never reread the story. I just went back and found the introduction today, and I thought, well, maybe there's a reason I didn't feel like I had the right to delete that, because my finger was over the. So, long story short, that was my intro to my first lonely hero story. Really, a lonely hero that you will recognize is Josie Wells from the Clint Eastwood movie. That was a man who just wanted to work on his farm and raise his wife and children, and it was the border wars between Missouri and Kansas, and the partisans that were in favor of anti-slavery crossed the border to kill Missourians who they thought might be in favor of slavery, and they burned his house with his wife and child inside, and all he had left was a gun and a Bible. Buried his kids, read the Bible, put the Bible somewhere that was never seen again, but the gun was with him forever. And he practiced and practiced until, Bloody Bill Anderson showed up and said, "They done you wrong, we're going up to make it right. You want to ride along?" And that's how he spent the Civil War, which is killing Yankees. Murder and hatred in his heart. And at the end of the war, he was riding out of Missouri down into Texas. And he made some friends along the way, people that he could take care of, people that be a family. And that's when he stopped being the lonely hero and became a family man. And that's a good ending for a lonely hero. Now, in the Josie Wells story, that was interrupted because somebody came down to fight, and there was a bloody battle. But he didn't ask for that. He wasn't a lonely hero. He was the hero fighting for his family and his people, and those are two different things. So I could go on and on, but you've got the idea. If you want to be a storyteller and you want a motif upon which to begin, and you know how it feels to be lonely, how it feels to put yourself in harm's way or make sacrifice for people that may never know, never understand, maybe not even respect you for having done it. Like a lot of, people think the Vietnam veteran was the only veteran who came home and went crazy and lived homeless, and that's a misconception. Almost every war produces veterans that lose their way and live very, very broken lives. Even if they come home and there's medals and parades and glory, the Native American Ira Hayes, who Mr. Lafarge wrote a song about it. Johnny Cash made it popular. Drunken Ira Hayes. If you, everybody knows how to find Johnny Cash on YouTube. Johnny Cash, Drunken Ira Hayes, The Ballad of Ira Hayes. That was a lonely hero, and that was a sad ending. So you might be a lonely hero yourself. You might be a broken man or a broken woman that either feel unloved or unworthy of love. Man, there's a lot of you out there, man. Uh, I walk a lot, and there's nobody that I cross paths with who's got a moment to talk that I won't talk to. I don't care if they're crazy or dangerous. I don't care, you know. I don't. If they want to talk, I got time. Uh, and I talk to a lot of homeless people, and a lot of them are veterans of our last war. You know, wounded in spirit and body. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many services the VA offers. It doesn't matter how much goodwill our society has for them. They're living with demons that they have a lot of trouble making peace with. And they're driven into the wilderness alone. So those are the lonely heroes. And it's a true story in a lot of cases. But it's also a good fiction story. And you can make it have a happy ending if you want. So, if you want to be a storyteller, or if you have to tell your story, you might realize that you are one of the lonely heroes and tell the story. Okay, I'm a lonely hero. This is why. And there might be somebody to say, okay, yeah, you did good, and we appreciate it. So you don't have to be a lonely hero anymore. You can be a hero with a family. You can be a mystic. You can be a gardener, philosopher. Just no man sits around and wastes all your time if you listen to him. Yeah, I often, after I've wasted a young person's time, I'll say, you will look back and say, I wish I'd done something else with my life instead of listening to those old men talk too much. The greatest danger a young man faces is that he will waste his life listening to old men.